What up? What up? It's your boy Video of 1430 Live. Yo, sorry, I'm just getting in the door, so a little flustered. But we here, and I got, y'all already know him. He's been on the show a bunch of times. Every time we have a great time. We were just on the RDU live show this past
Yeah,
Tuesday. Make sure y'all check that
yeah.
out on YouTube because it's a great
Come on.
interview. Yo, the homie
Thank you.
Kamus Leonardo, man. How you living?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to be here. Definitely excited to speak on this topic for sure. So thank you for having me.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, like when this came up, because I didn't know what I was gonna talk about, and I
Yeah,
just but when this whole thing came up, I was like, yo, I got to get Camus on here. If there's
come
anybody I
on.
know that like could bounce off me the right way for this topic, like
Come
I know
on.
you got it.
Yeah, yeah. And we're gonna bring facts. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna bring up facts. I'm ready, man. For
Actually,
sure.
it's funny, right? Like, what we here to talk about today, it
hmm
literally happened like earlier in the day
That's a
from
fact.
when we were on the air. So I didn't even really get to talk to you about it like in real time. It was just kind of like
Yeah,
so to bring people up to speed. Summer Jam was last weekend, Sunday in New York, sold out. Concert. People been calling it a festival. It's really more of a concert.
yeah,
Uh, and Method Man afterwards let it be known that he wasn't gonna be on the Summer Jam lineup after this.
yeah.
Now, what made it funny was that the news was coming out, and I posted something on Facebook. I don't
hmm
really be posted on Facebook like that,
hmm
and and I'm starting to understand that sometimes when I say things, it could be it could rub people the wrong way.
Misconstrued, as they say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't mean for it to be as like as visceral of a
Great
response.
word. Great
Yeah,
word.
like honestly, I'd even said it afterwards. I told my wife like I really should have just put LOL at the end of it because
Oh,
I was not serious at all.
that is funny. That is funny, yo.
Like
Wow.
basically what I said, and I'm looking for it now, but it's been buried under a bunch of other stuff because I was gonna pull it up on the screen.
Yeah.
But basically, what I just made a joke. It was like, uh, I was like, Method Man saw the lineup. I mean, saw the crowd
Yeah, saw the
and was
crowd
like,
and knew he ain't never want to rap again.
no, I was like, people don't like rap. Basically, like he looked out the
Oh
crowd and
yeah, that's
realized
right.
people don't
People
like
don't like
rap.
rap. Yeah.
Now, when I said it at the time, it was really like tongue in cheek, yo. Of course I know people still love rap, right?
Come on.
Even the title of this live stream that was
Right.
clickbait. We all know that people still love
Yeah.
rap,
Yeah.
but it just really like had my mind thinking a lot. Just seeing the responses that I got for this post. First of all, okay, before I like hijack the whole conversation, because I got a lot to talk about with this. First of all, okay, so how did you feel about the whole Summer Jam situation?
Well, I feel like with the Summer Jam, man, think about it. You had, just to name a few, Doja Cat,
Mm-hmm.
Sexy Red, French Montana, Sleepy Hollow, Lola Brooke, Bay Swag. Like the lineup itself was already towards the young crowd. Then they had a tribute to Mr. C, rest in peace, with Big Daddy Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if they had Method Man and Redman alongside with Big Daddy Kane, cool, because I get the tribute because Mr. C was Big Daddy Kane's DJ, rock with
Mm-hmm.
B.I.G. He worked with 94.7 The Block before he even no, that was after he worked at Hot 97. You know what I'm saying? So he was always like the curator and he was like that bridge to underground to like mainstream as far as presenting new talent. So if they would have like packaged it to where that era towards Mr. C, for sure, definitely. But I just feel like with the lineup and then throwing Method Man and Redman, like if they had like maybe two or three other ones in the same time, for sure. But it was literally just them, and they went out and they rocked. I'm talking about they rocked that joint too. But I just feel like just I see what they tried to do and I see what they were doing, but I don't think it just connected.
Yeah, I got the lineup pulled up right here, and it really, when you look at it on paper, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so you got Doja Cat, Sexy Red,
Mm-hmm.
DeVito,
Mm-hmm. Oh, T
Cash,
Grizzly, he
T
was out
Grizzly,
there.
Cash
Offset.
Cobain, Sleepy Hollow, and is Method Man and Redman. Now it really don't, on paper it don't make sense. Like I get what they were trying to do. Like you said, it was a tribute to yo,
Mr.
live
C,
from Vietnam is in the chat. Yo, what's up, man?
what's goody,
Yeah, I
bro?
appreciate y'all tuning in.
Yeah.
Uh, yo, but and I get it because like looking at the lineup. Matter of fact, I can share the screen. I can share the screen so people can see.
Yeah, let them see the lineup, bro. Like
Yeah, so
Honey
it's
Baby, Lola Brooke, Cash Cobain was in there. And this is what is his new single for sure? Like
Cash Go.
it
I only know the Grippy joint because everybody's clowning
the
Cole on
grippy.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, they got this song called For Sure. I thought it was Fisher, like Fisher Price, but they pronounce it
Oh,
like
I
For
know what you're talking
Sure.
about. The one with
They
Ice
saying For
Spice did
Sure.
the remix on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, I
yeah,
did hear that one. I did hear that
yeah.
one.
So I think that shit kind of slide. I ain't even gonna lie, but just
No,
even
I rock
that,
with Cash Cobain. Yeah.
yeah, like even that, but just that audience, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't match with Method Man and Redman.
And like I get
For
what
sure.
Method Man was trying to say. Like he was like, it's too big of an age gap. And I mean, half the crowd probably wasn't even born.
Can I be real with you though?
What's up?
I'm proud of Method Man. A lot of people don't know how to gracefully bow
Facts.
out.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to just say, you know what?
Yeah. I was like, this ain't really for me. I'm gonna go over to Essence Fest.
Like
I'm gonna
he
party
can
with the grown
Method Man can
folks.
still eat overseas. Like
Facts.
he can still Man and Red both can still. They even brought out Common, and they even got hype when Common came out too. So it's
Oh,
not
I
far
seen that video.
fetched.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not. They're not like far fetched off. It's just like when people are looking at Method Man now, especially the kids in the crowd, they're like, "Oh, that's homie from Power." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They
I
not.
saw that comment floating a lot. It's like they
You know
only
what
know
I'm
him,
saying?
the
Like
dude
that's
from
that's
Power.
what people are saying. So like even seeing that and laughing at that, I'm like, dang, that's true though. You feel
Mm-hmm.
me? Like we thinking Rottweiler with Red Van and Feather Van, like you know what I'm
Yo,
saying? Like
I
you
had
feel me? We out
that blackout
high,
album on repeat,
blackout.
man.
Like we here. We could like the youngest is us.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, you feel me?
Yeah, like so I get what he was saying, and I like you said, I really appreciate that he was self aware enough
Yeah.
to know that. And I
Hmm.
see even here, like it's so they have them listed as part of the celebrating the life of Mr. C
Right.
tribute. But they have them showcased here on the bottom like they're part like one of the headliners. And I think that's where a
That's
lot
what
of the
I'm
confusion
saying.
was for a
Right,
lot of
because
folks.
it was just tailored to Big Daddy Kane, and I get it as far as the story because once again, Mr. C was Big Daddy Kane's DJ,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I get like the correlation as far as the tribute for that because that's intimate. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? But like I felt like if they played their cards right, they probably could have got a couple more acts up in that tribute and just been like, all right, let's get off and kind of have like a New York version of the 50th anniversary of hip hop type
Mm-hmm.
shit. You know what I mean? Just like Slick though, right? And just a DJ who could transition to the tracks and shit. You know what I mean? Just straight through. It don't got to be like the whole verses, all songs. We talking about like just the pivotal moments. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, but I just feel like I understood what they were saying too. And as far as time and lineup, they already had hella other artists as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even think they would have been able to pull that off if. But yeah, bro. I feel like they should have slid it in there with that
Yeah.
more.
I really feel like And and Pat, St. Pat's in the chat. Yo, appreciate you joining,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, they really did set Meth and Red up a little bit, putting them out there like it's like the headliners. What they really should have did was saying it should have really been front and center. Celebration of the life of Mr. C. Like have those young cats, the ones that's like the modern acts, like have them as the headliners. But then put front and center, like also we're gonna have this tribute, and then just list everybody that's gonna be performing. So it's at least let them know why Meth and Red are there, right? Like let them know, like because and I don't know what it is. I kind of like woke up yeah, the show promoter should have known better. Maybe they were trying to piggyback off of Method Man's newfound fame on Power though. So maybe that's probably part of it because it's not like everybody else I see in this tribute is like, all right, they ain't really been doing too much like outside, like other than like other tribute acts like this. But
Let's show them who the real Method Man is.
and that was like the backlash was crazy.
Yeah.
Um, it was like people saying they were trying to get Rosenberg and Ebro fired. Like, it's like people was like, "Yo, y'all too out of touch." Like, I think even Jermaine Dupri jumped into it and was like,
What'd he
y'all
say?
He basically said Hot 97 is too disconnected from their audience. And I think it just kind of sparked like a bigger conversation of ageism in hip hop.
Wake it up.
And like why is it always this disconnect between the youth and like the people that came before us, right?
Right.
Because in the beginning, when hip hop was first being crafted, everybody looked at it like it was a fad, like it was gonna go out like disco. And our like people that were young, like maybe like 16, 18, 20, whatever, when they were coming up in hip hop's heyday in the beginning, like nobody saw like the potential of it, right? It was so but the generation before that, they listening to Al Green and Isley Brothers and the Gap Band. They listening to that, so they not looking at hip hop like that's real music, and that's two different genres. You can get why there was a disconnect there.
Okay.
But after that, I don't really understand why it's always kind of treated. Let me take that back. It's actually been like really a new phenomenon when you really think about it. Like the disconnect. It really didn't start until like maybe the dance era in 05 kind of thing, Like you didn't really hear like Nas and Big and Jay talking junk about the rappers from the 80s. Like they wasn't saying, "Oh, Run DMC passed it," or they wouldn't say Curtis Blow, LL Cool J, damn, I just literally had it in my head. I'm thinking of the song called Supersonic. What's the fuck? UMC.
UMC.
Yeah, ultramagnetic MCs. Yeah, nobody, they wasn't looking back at they were actually paying homage a lot of the times. Like they were always showing love. It just seems like around 05 with, like the dance craze, and I remember Soulja Boy and Ice-T really like going, that little thing was going on because everybody was like, no, this kid ain't really hip hop. And it just kind of started this divide between it started when artists started breaking themselves online. Yeah, but I don't understand why. I don't understand why it had to be the internet that
You know what I think though? I think here's what I feel, right? And it's just an opinion. This isn't fact. I feel like with hip hop, I get it from a genre perspective, but then you have like Miles Davis who came in and fucked the game up with jazz fusion. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people was like, "Oh, that's not music." Right? So this whole like kind of aspect of like subgenres from a main genre has been evolving from before time because we invented everything pretty much music wise anyway, at least rock, blues, folk, country, all that.
Yeah.
right? So I think hip hop specifically is just a mirror of our culture. And we have this crabs in a barrel mentality to where when you see someone like a Method Man who can gracefully bow out and say,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, hey, I'm still getting this power money. I've been acting. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. Because you already see the pattern of the people from the 90s ventured off into other things. That's who showed us how to venture out outside of music. You know what I'm saying? As far
Yeah.
as like business ventures and to maintain. So I feel like there's always this kind of feeling of it has to be one mentality within hip hop, but the problem is we have too many people infiltrating our culture. So you have like
That's
these
true.
like white boys who are Jewish from these families who was not raised within hip hop, who actually despises the culture and the people who creates it. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, this is nice. Look at Wu-Tang and how they came about. I
Yeah.
forgot homie's name, but like even their story. You know
Oh,
what
you
I
talking about
mean?
RZA?
Yeah, like with RZA and then like the whole Prince Rakeem situation and how it
Yeah.
transition was like, yo, Prince Rakeem is trash. We gonna bring the Wu-Tang, but all my members gonna come to me. And then you remember he was like, yo, y'all gotta dedicate the next 5 years of y'all lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But the guy who was the one who pushed them through the doors. But with that being said, like you have people like that who's now in charge of the culture. So now the disconnect, yes, you could reflect it upon back to us, but it's really people within power who we should be targeting. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think the problem is they got us targeting each other.
Like I've
When
always
like
said that the reason why they want to keep hip hop so young, right?
mhm,
The
wake
reason
it
why they
up.
want to keep hip hop so young is because the young kids are not going to read through the contract. Like, I'm 30. Like I'm coming like now I'm considered a older artist, but I think if they would have got me 10 years ago, I might have just went ahead and signed it.
Oh, same.
Yeah, it's like I'm not
Same.
educated. I'm not. All I know is the lights just got cut off. We go like we ain't really got enough
I'm
food in the.
hungry.
I'm hungry. We ain't got food in the pantry like that. And they flashing this 500,000 or $1 million advance in my face.
Loan.
It's a loan, but at the time it's like, yo, I just need that money now. We gonna figure out the rest later.
Exactly.
But
But
now it's
that's
like,
why here we are. Here we are like, damn, we getting older. Is our time like what's going on when we just getting started? Because imagine if we would have made those choices back then. But going back to the topic at hand, man, I just feel like as a whole with this conversation,
mm-hmm,
I feel like we need to aim more towards how can we I love it when the youngins sample.
yeah,
Like that's what I love about hip hop, just the art of sampling within itself. And I know it's repetitive, and I know like when the song becomes hot, we be all tired of it, myself included. I'd be tired of that. I
yeah,
ain't even gonna lie. But just I love it, like LaCoy Leray and Busta Rhymes, like that, bruh. Like, dog, I can't even tell you the name of the song if I'm being real. But like
see,
just the
I'm,
feeling, you know what I'm saying, and just seeing that, and just it just makes me proud because I'm like, okay, you have somebody who has the attention of the youngins who can say,
mm-hmm,
hey, y'all, like this is who I study from, this is who I learn from, and if they
mm-hmm.
rock with it, they could do their own research. You feel me?
Yeah, I respect it. I just hated that song, and I've had a very
Oh yeah,
I have a big gripe with the lazy samples, personally,
yeah,
just because especially because what we're talking about is that whether it's from them or whether like the powers that be that
yeah.
are
Mm-hmm.
like controlling that narrative, it's
Mm-hmm.
still perception wise like the generation that is like the most like apprehensive, I guess you could
Mm-hmm.
say, from like reaching back and like paying homage to the people that came before them, be real quick to like try to siphon off of their legacy at the same time. Like I forgot what her name was. She did the area codes joint. It's the dark skinned rapper, like young girl that's out right now. I can't remember her name. I think her name is
Lil
Cal.
Millie.
No,
With
no, not
who?
Flo Milli. It was. I think her name is
Oh,
Callie.
Cali, Cali,
Yeah,
Cali. Yeah,
she
yeah, yeah, Cali.
did the area codes joint.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and either like 'cause she had like she didn't know who she basically had like she didn't know who Ludacris was when
How
she
old is Cali though?
I mean, but no, like I mean, she's young, like maybe like 19, 20 or something. But it's the fact that she didn't know who he was, but you are directly ripping off his song. So either
I
you
see
don't
what you're
know who it
saying.
is, or
Yeah.
you are like, or your producer or whoever wrote that song for you set you up to
You're a
look
puppet.
crazy.
You're a puppet.
Yeah, like either somebody just gave you that song, they wrote your lyrics, they gave
And
you
you
the
don't even
beat,
know where it
just
came
told you don't
from.
even know where it came from.
Yeah.
Either that or you just straight up lying and it's disrespectful. Either way, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like to
Yeah.
not
That's
be at
valid.
least a little educated on the culture that you're trying to siphon out money from.
That's valid. So okay, so for you, right? Let's okay, I see where you headed with that one, right?
Hmm.
So basically it's a lot of exploitation going on
Yeah.
within our
Matter of
culture as
fact,
a whole.
live from Vietnam, they
Yeah.
said that, and you know, because to your point earlier about like a
Hmm.
lot of like outsiders like infiltrating the culture,
Yeah.
the people that's controlling everything, and those
Yeah.
people only care about making money off of it, you know, branding it,
Hmm.
selling it. They don't really care about the artistic value of it. And I think that's where my biggest issue with a lot of this stuff comes from.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be real with you. So
Work it up.
the only thing that bothered me about, because you know I don't really care. I'm gonna just say whatever the hell I gotta say. Like, well, even though with that particular comment, I wasn't really serious, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it regardless. Even if I meant it with my full chest, I'm gonna say it. So I don't care if you don't like it.
Yeah.
But the only thing that irritated me was just I get irritated being like called an old head when I have a difference of opinion. You know what I'm
Wait,
saying?
they call you the old head?
Or they said I was sounding like an old head, like
Who
when I
said
was making my comment,
that?
bruh. And you know what's the crazy part is that they said that, and like the nigga who said it is older than me.
Yeah.
So that's what made
Like
that's what made it even funnier. I was like, bro, you're older than me. How am I? How do I sound like an old head?
what in the world? Yo, what? Okay.
But
Okay, go
but you
ahead,
know the
bro.
part
Keep
that makes it
cooking.
even more irritating is the fact, like you know, it feels annoying when you been saying this stuff.
Yeah.
Like my
Facts.
tone has not changed about any of this stuff. I could go back 10 years,
Yeah, you've been
15
like this
years
from the
ago.
jump.
I've been like this
Hmm.
forever. I'm
Yeah.
actually better now. I feel like I
Yeah.
was like really like I was really like, yo, I don't like I would have trashed all of them, like the whole summer jam
Yeah.
lineup. I would have been
Yeah.
trashing them like crazy. Now
Emphasis
I'm
on the
just like,
dangerous.
yeah, like I would have been like, yo, I'm sending shots to
Hmm.
everybody. But
Hmm.
I'm just like, yo, if I don't like it, I'm just not gonna comment on it for the most part. I'm just
Hmm.
not gonna say
But you
nothing.
still do
Just let it
though.
rock. I
You still
comment.
do.
I try to comment on the stuff that's outside of the music. Like when they do something
Mm.
crazy, you know, detrimental. Like we could
Mm.
get into the whole like whether this is influencing the people negatively or
Yeah.
not. You know, that's
Mm.
that's been a conversation since the '90s with hip hop, if we're being real. But
Right.
when you start doing some like extra, fuck shit, like Sleepy
Mm.
Hollow and them was buddy buddy with Trump just because they trying to get off some cases if he wins, so they endorsing him or whatever.
And they performed at Summer Jam.
Exactly. Like Peter Rosenberg was talking about getting rid of him, but he was joking. I don't think he was really joking. But if he
No.
did, I wouldn't have been mad. I mean, they let Make America Great Again, Sexy Red perform. So I don't really think that they were serious about getting rid of Sleepy Hollow and them.
I mean, like that's all I'm saying. My thing is because I totally understand your point and where you coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is like it's the same motherfuckers who's up like in their platforms and
Mm-hmm.
they're like talking about the culture, but then they're the same ones making these decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, where's the accountability? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if okay, I get it. let's attract to the young crowd, da 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 da. So then now you got to hold New York accountable.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bigger conversation. But I'm not from New York, so I can't even be part of that
Yeah.
conversation. So it's just like it's so crazy. It's so many ways you can go about it. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like even going back to lazy sample, right?
Mm-hmm.
We would have to say Juicy is a lazy sample.
See, the only, why I call them lazy samples, right? Is that it's not
Hmm.
only basically an exact rip of the beat that came from before, but it's also an interpolation of the same track with no type of like originality to it, in my
But what
opinion.
is Juicy though?
You know,
That is a
as I was saying it, like,
that is a sample, dog. That is
all
straight
right, all right.
from the original track.
As I was
That
saying that, I
has to
was
be
playing
because
the original track, the Juicy
like
Fruit.
when you hear, I know you were like, damn, as you hear the song before. But we would have to say that Juicy is the lazy sample too.
All right, fair, fair,
You know what I mean?
fair. But my other point still stands. It's the fact that like a lot of these people are like directly pulling from
Hmm.
that generation, but are also disrespectful to that generation at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the part
That now
that
that I
now that like
understand.
irritates me. I think it would
Yeah.
be more, and like actually, I would probably say Coyle Ray would be like an exception to that rule because I don't really see her
But her
making those
father is
comments.
Benzino.
Yeah, even though like she's trying to separate herself from Benzino, and I don't
She
really.
is, but it's one thing when it's on you and one thing when it's in you. So it's appropriate for her because she already has respect from her father,
Yeah,
despite the legacies created now to the internet. But prior to the internet, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, and still now, like you know what I mean? Vicious with the mic, like he'll do his thing. You feel
mm-hmm.
me? And Benzino created a name for himself and created respect. So it's like it's only right for that to happen. So like I just use Coil Ray for an example, just because of like the nepotism kind of associated with
Yeah,
that. And it's like she applied it well versus kind of like she has her personal problems, but at least she's still maturing. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Like for the audience versus kind of just sticking because you see a lot of older men outside of the industry as well, just in real life, who still dresses like young and act
Mm-hmm.
young. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's where I think with hip hop, man, we need to allow each other to age gracefully. If
mm-hmm.
we sitting here saying black don't crack, why are we sitting here playing older acts? We can
Mm-hmm.
sit here and watch all these rock acts, aka white acts,
Yeah.
perform and be old as hell. You know what I'm
And not
saying?
only that, but it's
Wake
like
it up.
it's not just that because they don't have to just play the oldies, right? Like they don't have to just perform the classics. Metallica could put out an album right now.
Bro,
Aerosmith could put out an album right now, and
right now,
people would still like gravitate to it, and still like they would
gravitate.
still go see the shows. U2's been out for years. I think they just put out an album. It was either earlier this year or late last year,
Yeah,
and it's still doing numbers.
right.
They still
So
do
my
world tours. So I don't understand why hip hop, because hip hop people keep saying hip hop's like a young genre. It's not really a
it's
young
not
genre anymore.
it it well it is because it's the youngest genre, youngest popular genre
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of
I mean,
things.
it's younger, but like, at what
Yeah.
point does it stop being? I mean, it just had its 50th anniversary. When does it
Hmm.
stop being like, oh, it's just this young genre, it's this young man's game?
But that's going back to what I was saying about reflection upon our culture and going back to the elders wanting to be young.
Mm,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like it was a shift within our community to where like now you got the children, right, to where they're the ones taking the lead and they have more emotional intelligence than the elder. You feel
mm-hmm,
me? The elders, they're supposed to approach from a more logical standpoint. But these kids nowadays with this information and accessibility to information, like they different. You
mm-hmm,
know what I'm saying? But like the elders, not all elders, there's still wise elders out there. But I just feel like within the culture of hip hop, you see a lot of elders still trying to play the young game. So
yeah,
I think when everybody says hip hop is a young game, we're looking at the people who's in like
still
still
Like even
at
the
it,
ones that's
still
supposed to
going.
be like that's why
Right,
I really appreciate somebody like a Nas.
right.
He just had the run he had with Hit Boy, and he proved like yo I can rap from my perspective as a 50-year-old man
Mm-hmm.
and still make it sound fly. Like I'm not trying to be
Mm-hmm.
the young cats. Like he's speaking from the place of an elder, and it's
Mm-hmm.
still making it dope. And like it's shown that like hey, people still got an appetite for it. Like I feel like people like people looking at Nas like yo this is groundbreaking. This is revolutionary for hip hop because it's like
Mm-hmm.
he's a man talking about getting older and looking back and reminiscing and dropping gems for the younger generation and not
Right,
sounding so out of touch and out of date.
right.
Like matter of fact, Chuck D just called out like he's like yo why are 40-year-old rappers still out here still rapping like they in the street?
Mm.
Like you've been a millionaire for like 20 years. Like why are you still rapping
Mm.
like you a street cat? Like
So we
why
can't be
haven't you
mad.
elevated?
We can't be mad if the youngest see that and follow that.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Okay, so hold on. We got a few chats. All right, so Martez in the chat. Hey, babe.
What up, sis?
Yeah, she said the idea behind Juicy was what was groundbreaking.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
kind of like it's still
Yes.
not the same concept of the
Yeah.
track. Like it's like from the song that it was originally sampled, but
Yeah.
it's just like the interpolation of the hook, and like
Right.
I don't even remember what the song in the NLE Chopper did, where he basically just
Mm.
took "Hot in Here" and
Oh,
just
and
redid
just
it, and it's
yeah.
basically the same song. He just
Got
put
you.
new verses on it, but it's the same beat, same hook,
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah. For sure. We're not going to take away the origin or how it was set up. I was just speaking as far as examples of lazy samples. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
As far as
true.
like nowadays, they don't even really, how you said, make it like their own thing. It's just blatantly what it is. You know what I'm saying? And where's the
Well,
homage? But
and
that,
then you got to think about it like this: like the
yeah,
art form is supposed to elevate, right?
exactly.
Technology was very limited when it came to like sampling and
Hmm.
like putting those tracks together back in like 93, 94 when Ready to Die was
Yeah.
recorded.
Yep.
So it's 2024 now. Like you should be able to do a lot more. Like sampling is not easy, but there are
Yeah.
a lot of like producers that are doing some real innovative stuff where they taking stuff
Facts.
and you really have to strip it back to know what the original song was. And I
Yeah.
think
I know a
that's
producer. His name is actually Vinny Dangerous, bro. He be flipping samples too very uniquely. It's
what's
tight, bro.
crazy.
It's
I don't
pretty
sample.
tight. You
I
don't?
actually wanna start sampling, but I haven't sampled the track yet. I'm so afraid of getting sued, so that's why I haven't done any. So everything I'm making is like I'm
Wait, so
copying.
you're telling me that from wow, never mind. I'm thinking of the beat that Jones Michael had made and y'all
Yeah.
collabed on and y'all have you I think you had featured on it, but I had mistakenly thought you had produced it because it was a soul sample. I remember
Yeah.
specifically because I
I
know
know
with
which one
your
you're talking
music
about.
you
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, so I thought, okay, my fault. Okay, we here.
No,
All
no,
right.
you good. I want to
Shout
get
out to
into
Jones
it.
though.
Yeah, shout out to Jones.
Yeah,
Like
shout
matter of
out
fact,
to
it's about
Jones.
time we need another one. I think we only got two. Me and you got two, and then me and Jones only got two.
Oh yeah, tell bro to definitely pull up. But yeah, back to the topic though. Oh yeah, you gotta go to the chats. That's right.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's like example Armani White with the Billie Eilish song. The sample nothing. Yeah, he did sample the Nori joint. The nothing joint. I haven't heard that song in a minute, so I don't remember how the sample was. Yo, Pat, let me if you still in the chat, let me know if that was like I guess like a nice flip or was it a lazy joint? I can't. I think it was like he did basically
I
did the
ain't gonna
same
lie,
beat.
it was kind of nice how they did it. I liked how they did it.
Oh, so you heard it? I mean
Hmm.
I've heard it, but it's been a minute.
Yeah,
Whatever
I
it
mean,
was, it
cause
didn't
like
stick with me that long.
it was a sample where you knew where it came from, but for those who don't know, they wouldn't know. You
Oh,
know what I
okay.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like for people who's like more musically inclined, they're gonna point it out. But it wasn't like blatant and vague to where it was just like, all right, bro, you just the sample is carrying it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, no offense to a Jack Harlow. I love I rock with Jack Harlow, but it's just like a Jack Harlow. Like the sample literally
Yeah.
carries the song.
You talk about a perfect example of what we talking about. Like when I say
You know what I'm
lazy
saying?
samples, good
Yes, bro.
God.
That's a lazy sample right there. You know what I'm saying? You
And that's
know
another
what?
thing too. Is like when the beat is
Yeah.
carrying the artist. Like
Yeah.
it literally could have been anybody else, and it wouldn't have
Yeah.
made a difference.
But literally, it's a verse from another song.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
First class. Your
Oh,
first
yeah.
class.
No.
That
Yeah, the
sample,
hook.
the hook.
Because he just basically took the whole hook. He ain't
He
even
sampled
interpolating it. It's just
a hook of a
he
hook.
sampled the hook of a hook. Yeah, because that ain't that the like the hook in the song that she sampled is like an
Yeah.
articulation of the original
Hey, Prince won't lie. And we sampling samples.
sample. God, yo, and I was just listening to Prince on the way back here too.
Come
So
on,
I was like,
man.
cause like
Come
yo,
on.
cause there's nothing inherently wrong about sampling, right?
Nothing.
But
Nothing.
I think the lack of creativity sometimes, like,
Yeah.
because back in the day we had an MPC or a Roland 808, like
Mm.
those things. There's only so much you're gonna be able to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But now like we have digital dolls that like literally could do anything at this point. There's
Yeah.
like unlimited possibility. And you
Yeah.
just copy and paste the same track and you throw some 808s on it. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
like why is that accepted now?
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. Is it really hating is the old school really hating the new generation when they're just like yo when they're pointing out stuff like the lack of creativity in hip hop, right?
Hmm.
Because like personally, there are a lot of artists. They like shout out to like Tizo Touchdown. I think he's like one of the
Hmm.
most creative guys out right now. Like Tierra
Yes.
Whack is like
Yes.
super just next level genius when it
Yes.
comes to like putting together songs and
Mino.
verses and things. And her videos are like crazy.
Hmm.
So when I can look at people from this generation and go, they're like you don't have to do it exactly like them, but just they put just that little bit more thought into what they're
Hmm.
doing and to make it their own. And then there's certain
Hmm.
people where it's like I can't really tell them apart. Like you play the song for me, don't tell me who it is. I got like 5 or 6 names that come to mind, and it's another
Yeah.
nigga altogether.
Yeah. I mean, but then that brings up the conversation and shout out to Proton for his show Prozone, man. I was out there last night and
Oh
before
yeah,
the show, I was talking to Malibu P and he had brought up the concept of like copying and stealing and how he would say like real artists steal. Like at the end of the day, there's nothing new under the sun. You dig what
true,
I'm
true.
saying? Like we all are going to get something from somebody. It's just a matter about how you package it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get inspiration from everywhere, but like a Tierra Whack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a who else did you say? Tierra Whack,
Tizo.
Tizo Touchdown. You know what I'm saying? Like you can tell who they took from, but still made it them. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? So I think it just comes to a point now of like the hating. I don't think it's hating for the old school to do what it is that they do, but it's also subjective because you have people who are in the position who kind of have the gatekeeper mentality, but that goes back to the community and that goes back to the trauma, but then that goes back to our trauma being exploited within the hip hop culture. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's layers to that. But I just feel like that's why I appreciated Method Man because he never not once said, I hate these youngins, I hate this crowd, I don't rocking with this crowd, I ain't rocking with this. He just said,
Yeah, he literally
yeah,
said like,
I'm out.
no disrespect to anybody or nothing like that. It's just too much
Yeah,
of an age gap, and I was just
yeah,
like, yo, I'm just keep it pushing.
yeah. But
But
like, think about it though. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
well, now I was gonna bring back to one of your other points, right? Because you were talking
Hmm.
about how some of the older generation are trying to mimic or trying to still act like they're young, right?
Right, right.
I think part of that is a byproduct of not wanting to sound like the old head, not
Ooh,
try to look like you're out of touch or you
ooh,
don't really want to like connect with the youth or you're hating on the youth. I
ooh.
think that's kind of like the opposite end where they're trying to
Hmm.
say no. I'm not out of touch. I still rock with the kids. I'm still out here with y'all. Like I'm
I'm
still outside with
outside.
y'all.
I'm outside.
Yeah, it's like, and I think that's where that comes from. Is like
Yeah.
any type of criticism, valid or not,
Yeah.
whether it's valid or not, like any type of criticism is treated like hating. So like to not look like you're hating on the youth, a lot of them will just try to fall in line, and now you got the 40-year-old hanging out at the 20-year-old club.
Facts. Facts. And it's sad because KRS once said it best. Like
Mm-hmm.
the older people can learn from the young so they could be advanced to the older people. The young
Mm-hmm.
people can learn from the older to be advanced with the younger people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an ecosystem where we need each other in order to advance because that's the whole point of this life thing. You know what I'm saying? Is to
Right.
advance. So it's just like at a point it comes to like, all right, how do we how do we bridge gaps into not necessarily reintroducing the younger audience to the legends, right? To the ones who are still here or no longer here. How do we build that bridge to present them the information? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking to an audience nowadays to where you now have the choice of however you want to be raised, right? Because you remember how we was raised, and then people before us,
Mm-hmm.
we had freedom, but our freedom was different from the freedom now. Our freedom was like outside, kind of like, all right, if you look at somebody's legs as an adult and they got scars, you could tell they was really outside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like certain characteristics you could
Yeah, they
tell,
got
but
mad scars and stuff from
right,
from
you feel
being
me? Like,
collective.
okay, you seasoned, baby girl. Okay, good. I like that. You know what I mean? Like, I like that. Where nowadays with kids, I feel like the disconnect is because of the accessibility with this information. So now being raised by the internet, you can go wherever you want to go on your journey of
Mm-hmm.
like becoming a preteen, just child development as a whole. And it's hard because now that once again with the infiltration of hip hop as a culture, you have the forefathers, right? But then you have somebody like a Melly Mel
Mm-hmm.
who was also hating on the younger generation. I forgot exactly what he said because I don't like saying things
Uh,
that I can't reference,
the
but you
I'm
know
gonna
what
be
I'm
real. The
talking
last
about,
thing I
right?
remember him saying, I remember the last thing I remember Melly Mel was going off about. He was going off about certain rappers, but most of them were like older at this point. Like I know Eminem was like the biggest one. He was coming at,
But you see how old he is, and
yeah,
you see how he's still talking about the generation after him when the generation after him is the same to Melly Mel to us compared to the kids today.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Why? Why? Like
Well,
why?
I mean, I'm gonna be real. What I don't know about everything he said, right?
Yeah,
But it was. I think the main thing. You know what? Let me look that up. What did Melly
yeah.
Mel
Let's
say?
put share the screen.
'Cause I
Let's
want to make
put.
sure. I want to make sure that I'm quoting him right
Yeah,
first
because
before.
I please let's make sure, please, because just examples like that, bro. That's where I just be kind of like DJ Melly Mel, bro. You're come on. Why is it that now you're known for the guy to hate? We don't even know the last other thing. You could be doing whatever. You could be doing this. You could be doing that.
Man,
What we reference is what you hating on.
okay. And that now I will say he did come back and apologize. He did come back and apologize later. He realized he was wrong, and he did try to set the
Why
record
you
straight. Because
say
I'm
it?
seeing a lot of stuff. I mean, he might
You
have a
don't
moment,
apologize. People don't
especially with
apologize. Like
especially
if
with especially when I mean we're talking about outsiders, right?
yeah,
We're talking about outsiders.
yeah.
That's why he was going at Eminem.
Okay, but if we okay race, I get it. But if we talking hip hop, why is it that okay, because before I say this, here's what I will say.
Okay,
I know.
so I know.
Oh, go
Okay, I see
ahead.
what it was. So it was last year. everybody was, dropping their 50 lists for the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
Yeah.
He basically was upset. He went on an interview on the Art of Dialogue back in March of
Hmm.
2023. And he was basically upset because Eminem was ranked number 5 and he was ranked number 48 out of 50. So that's what the issue was, basically. Like he didn't feel like Eminem should have been as high as he was. And I'm gonna be real. It's like those lists. I've always gone on a rant about those lists. I was ranting about those lists all last year. They don't matter. So I wish somebody would have pulled him to the side and was like, "Bro, it's Billboard. Billboard just now just started really caring about us, hip hop in general. I wouldn't take them as gospel when it comes to ranking the best rappers of all time.
Bruh, it's too much projection going on.
And I do feel for Melly Mel because when I think about it, like his generation, a lot of times gets left out when it comes to conversations about the greatest
Okay,
of all
but
time.
DJ Grandmaster Flash is out here still getting booked and gigged up. You know
No,
what
I'm
I'm
talking
saying?
about
He's still
those
out here
MC
teaching.
conversations, and this is the
Oh,
generation
MC,
when it was like,
MC.
when
Okay,
it
okay,
was like,
okay.
uh, they were fighting for the top spot. Like that was that. There
Yeah,
wasn't,
yeah.
there wasn't gold and platinum records at that point.
Right, true,
People
true,
was just trying to like, establish the culture at that point. So the
true.
biggest prize you could get, it was even before they was giving us Grammys for real. Like the
Mm.
biggest prize you could get was being acknowledged as the best MC.
Word of mouth.
So it's
Hmm.
like, so I can understand from his perspective, from where he's coming from, like the time period he's from. Like, yo, that's the biggest thing I got to hold on to. Like, why are we always the ones left out of those conversations when it comes to the best? So I feel him. I've always been like, the best conversation seems to only start in like the '90s. So they completely disregard the rappers that came before that.
True.
So again, that's another like sign of disrespect to the older generation, like from the golden age.
Yeah. What's the golden age? What's
Um,
what's the golden age technically?
I'd probably
Because I feel
say
like we
like
we get
from
that
the
misconstrued a
beginning.
lot.
I always say for me personally, it's like the beginning. Like, so I guess like what would it be, like 1973 to about 85.
That's valid.
I'd probably say that, and then you get into like the period where it's like Run DMC and LL Cool J, and when hip hop was like putting out albums, and it was just a lot of the like it was a little bit more established at that point.
Yeah. People today consider the golden age the 90s.
I
It's
mean, I
crazy.
would probably say, I think I was watching Justin Hunt, the Company Man,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how a lot of people refer to the '90s as like the golden period because
Right.
it was like the most complete
Hmm.
of hip hop.
Disregarding the origins
Yeah,
and
it's
the
like
development.
it was like,
Hmm.
well, no, it was like basically it was perfected. Like it was like the origins, because they, like, again, like it was like up until a certain point, everybody acknowledged like the guys that paved the way
Right.
before,
Right.
and it wasn't until later when people started like to disregard the legends and just be like, we don't really need, like, live from Vietnam, they commented and said like a lot of these people now, because of the internet, feel like they don't need the legends no more, because
Mm.
you had to come through somebody, like
Mm.
Heavy D put on Biggie.
Yeah.
Biggie put on Cameron. It's just like a lot of that. Like we don't really see that a lot now, because now it's TikTok, now it's Instagram, now it's YouTube, now it's Twitch that's putting these kids on. It ain't really like somebody from the past bringing on new acts.
Mm.
And but yeah, like, so even then it was like the '90s was when like basically they perfected what the groundwork that had been laid up until that point. And then that's when the money kind of came in, and then that's when the artistic part of it started to slowly but surely get pushed to the side a little bit.
Mm,
So it's like before the money really got it, like was really, in it, like was really like infiltrated the culture.
mm-hmm.
So it was still more about the artistic side and like being the best MC and being, the best lyricist, like the era that a Method Man and a Red Man came up in.
Mm. So my here's my question to you.
Okay.
Is there so should we still keep together hip hop and rap or should we separate it?
Well, nah, it can't be separated. I always
Okay.
say that because I guess people always say, like, I think I saw Vince Staples say, because he was responding to a message somebody sent him, and they were
Mm-hmm.
like, "Do you feel like, you've elevated past a rapper and now you're a hip hop artist?" And then he responded, he was like, "Yo, that's racist. I hope you know that."
For
And
real.
it was like, because hip hop is the umbrella, like it's the culmination of everything. Rap
Okay.
is one of the elements of hip hop. It's just the more famous element of hip hop.
Got you. So
Like
you
in
bringing it back to like the like b-boy, MCing,
Yeah.
breakdancing, graffiti, and DJing, correct?
Hmm.
Okay. So you see rap as a form of MCing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, the people that, because there's a lot of artists that get just classified as hip hop.
Okay.
I feel like we need another like subgenre for a lot of these other cats. Then we
Mm,
would kind of not even a subgenre. They need a completely different genre. Because
mm,
I hear it from a lot of them. Like Lil Uzi Vert don't even really consider himself a rapper like that, or Playboy Cardi don't even consider himself a rapper like that. And I feel like you should give them the opportunity to be whatever they want to be, so we don't have these like visceral responses when these new acts pop up, and it's like, what is this? This is not hip hop. Okay, it's whatever they, whatever they're making is what they're making. It don't necessarily have to be hip hop.
But the disrespect, it's crazy how the disrespect is blatantly all around because then you have a Beyonce who's releasing a country album and then they people put it as pop. And then she's like, nah, put it as country.
Mm-hmm.
You
Well, you
know
know
what
what
I'm
that is
saying?
though. That's more
So,
racist.
but that's
That's racist.
racist, but it just shows you it don't
Yeah.
matter how you could be at the toppest at the toppest of the hierarchy of rap or hip hop pinnacle, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And you're still going to get mistreated because it goes back to those who infiltrate because we'll kind of have these like debates as far as like this and that, right? But I'm saying like as far as the people on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we see pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is people kind of like have a point of view and they're trying to convince people of their point of view versus like agreeing to disagree. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And that's why I appreciate your platform. You feel me? But that's why I
Yeah.
appreciate other platforms where people can come together. Cause like in this conversation of like, do we still love rap? You even admitted like, hey, I don't mean what I said. It wasn't facetious, right? It was just
Yeah.
more so of like, hey, I just wanted to see what the people were saying, how the people were feeling, and then
Mm-hmm.
obviously the people were talking. But I still think like with hip hop and rap, like for instance, right? Let's say you and I were to do a lineup, they're automatically going to put us in the conscious box.
Yeah.
You have a whole album, God Made a Monster, right? I have a whole album called Damien.
Mm-hmm.
Those two projects alone, you dig what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we came from hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop, we embody hip hop at that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you gotta admit, as a forefather, nigga, I would be proud to see or hear something like that because that is an evolved version of what was started.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to just figure out what is it that because I know when I'm in that position as an OG,
Mm-hmm.
dog, I'm gonna be like, come on,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Now, there has to be, we have to move with discernment because we can't just give everybody participation trophies. You
You
feel
know,
me?
you were talking about gatekeeping earlier. I was actually thinking
Yes.
we need to bring back gatekeeping.
Wake it up. How
I
so? Because I agree to an extent. So how so?
Okay, so I mean for a few reasons. One, I'm tired of like the Post Malones. They just kind of
What you
like
mean by
come
that?
in. They come in as like, oh, they come in like they're hip hop artists, but then they get to a certain point, and now he's up there with Morgan Wallen doing like
Got
country
you. Like
stuff.
pop.
Like yeah, it's like they just
Yeah.
come in, they get what they
And then
can
go.
from the culture, and then they use
Yeah.
it to go somewhere else, and then they act
Catapult.
like they don't even rock with us like that
Got
anymore.
you. Got you. Valid.
That's
Valid.
my that's one like that's one example of why I feel like nah, you can't just come up in here and oh you're gonna do a couple features, you're gonna get on a song with a couple black artists, and now all of a sudden you hanging out with oh boy that was saying the N word like 1,000 times on the video, like on video. Like why are
That's
you able?
facts because he
Why are
sure
you
did
over
pull
there?
up with
Like why you hanging out with them?
him.
Why you hanging out with homie, but you like you was just over here with us? It's like oh yeah, I
Right.
got my check from y'all,
What
I got my
happened to
clout
White
from y'all. Now no.
Iverson?
How you go from White Iverson to now you in Levi jeans?
Yeah, man. I
Levi
got
jeans
you.
with the country boy hat. So yeah,
That's
that's an
valid.
example why, and
That's
I just feel
valid.
like because a lot of the I guess like the hatred or disrespect sometimes from the older generation is just because
Mhm.
there's a certain level of like, you know, there was foundations that was put together. Like people talk about how limiting labels can be sometimes, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes labels are necessary.
That's a
Like if I
fact.
go online and I want to order a table, I need to know that it's called a table, and I need it to be labeled on the website
As a
that it's a
table.
table. I
Hmm.
don't want to buy it and then I get a sofa. I didn't want a sofa. I wanted a table.
Like they just register under it as decor, house decor.
Exactly. It's
That's
like,
it.
oh yeah, we don't believe in labels here, so you're just gonna have to pick,
We'll
and
give you a
hopefully it's
plate.
what it is. Now order a table, I get a plate. Like, so I feel like there's a certain level of like, yo, there are foundations to hip hop.
Yeah.
You gotta like, there's certain things you have to know, right?
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of producers that feel like they don't need music theory, and like, okay,
That's a
cool,
fact.
you can make beats without music theory, you could create stuff without music theory, but like, there's
Foundation.
gonna be a certain there's gonna be a certain level of foundation that's gonna be lost,
Yeah.
and it's even the people that don't understand that level of technical speak when it comes to that,
Right.
they're still gonna hear the difference. There's still gonna
Hmm.
be a difference. It's still gonna hit a little different when you don't know that foundation. And I
Yeah.
feel like you have to have that same principle with hip hop.
Yeah.
So like, yo,
Oh,
do what you want, but like you still have to understand where this came from.
speaking of hip hop, you know what I want to bring up?
What's up?
How the demographic changed over time. Because now
Mm-hmm.
within hip hop and rap concerts, who's in the concerts now? What type of demographic are the ones buying the tickets,
Mm-hmm.
going to pulling up to the tour shows and you know what I'm saying, the meet and greets and stuff. You feel
Mm-hmm.
me? So that plays into account as well. And I think going back to exploitation, I think we're all just exploiting each other to
Mm-hmm.
where we're being exploited by our traumas. It's like the slave mentality in a sense. You feel what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like the house slave thinking they got ownership over the slaves in the field and stuff. When in actuality, we all one and the same. It don't matter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that same mentality of like, exploiting our traumas, but then they want to exploit hip hop as a culture, like you say, then go pop or go do this and go do that and be like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was a part of that, or I'm not, I don't really care for that anymore. That was a phase. That was a phase.
Like Miley Cyrus.
And
Miley Cyrus did that too.
bruh, but then also even think about like you said, little Uzi Vert, right? He'll say
Mm-hmm.
stuff like, I'm a rock star, I'm a rock star. So your style is still hip hop though.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it that these youngins come in, they want to be rock stars, they want to be this, they it's like we have a shameful approach to our own culture and who we
Right.
are. And that Stockholm syndrome still applies. It is sad as fuck. And it's just like, I'm tired.
Yeah, like at one point, because like you said with the whole Rockstar comment, that's been going on for years, and
Yeah.
like for I don't know when it started, but for some reason people started looking at rapper as like a dirty word. Like to be a rapper was like, nah, I'm not a rapper. I'm an artist.
I'm an art.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
a. I'm a rock star. I'm a
yeah,
trapper. And I'm a hustler. I'm not a rapper.
right.
And I'm
And
like,
and
no,
that's what
nigga,
I'm
you rap.
saying. Right. So I think like, what in the world? My fault. I think like the problem is
Mhm.
with art as a whole, you have to be yourself. You
Mm.
can't come into it and be somebody you're not, because although you can get the accolades, although you can get the fame, notoriety, which you may consider opulence, right? Uh Karma is real as well. And that's law. Going back to like how you said gatekeeping is required.
Mm-hmm.
This whole life is gatekeeping. Like there's laws. You know what I'm saying? What goes around comes around. So when you come into hip hop, like it's like for instance, right? Who has more influence, Drake or Future?
I'd probably say Drake. Oh wait a minute, wait. No, you talking about influence, like to
Influence.
the culture.
Because
Yeah, then it'll
Drake,
be Future.
nobody says I want to wear what Drake wear. I want to dress like Drake or got the Drake hair. Drake is stealing from Smino.
Hey yo,
You know what
I
I'm
was
saying?
people thought I was hating when I pointed it out. I just wanna
Nah,
make that clear.
that's
I
facts.
saw I saw the
That's facts.
barrettes and his hair out like that, and I immediately
Yeah.
said, "Yo, that's Smino."
But that's what I'm going back to as far as like certain things. It's like we're all being exploited. You feel me? Like, why is it that a Drake can profit off of a hairstyle that not even just Smino, but just our culture and our people
Yeah.
wear at the crib, chilling? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Why is it that a Drake can profit maybe more than a Smino would? Not taking away from Smino's talent or his position,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm just saying, like, it's sad how we just continue to exploit one another within this thing, man. And I think there needs to come to a point where it's like either A, we come up with a union, first and foremost, from a legality standpoint, from like an economical standpoint, that's where it starts. We got to stop being like, we got to stop moving with emotion, just emotion. We need to learn how to channel that. You know what I'm saying? And I think the problem is within our culture with the elders, there's this fear of there can only be one. Because remember, that's how it originated, like you said, within the 70s when hip hop first originated. Before even that, when they had the ciphers and stuff, before it was even classified as hip hop, you had to be the one. You had to be the one on the block. So it stems from that. So it has to come to a point to where it's like, all right, you know, as we say, 2000s, that's what the most richest hip hop was,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but it was enough. It was still competitive, but when you really think about it, it's really enough for
Mm-hmm.
everybody to eat.
Yeah.
So
You
why
know
is
what I
it
really
that
think what it stands for?
what?
It really stems from the fact that like over time we started to value money over culture.
Mm,
Like because now like somebody like a Drake would not exist 10 years ago, 10 years before he
without a
died.
Fonte,
Well, no, I'm just, not even like the fact that he biting, but it's the fact that the only reason why they allow him to bite is because he
got you,
generates so much money.
got you.
He would not like if it wasn't because it's alright. Like you couldn't sound like somebody else. Like even during the 2000s, it's like Jay just sold 1 million copies doing that, but you can't copy Jay because everybody's gonna be on your behind. Like yo, you a fake. Like that was a stain on Ja Rule's jacket for a long time, even before 50 Cent. That was a stain on his jacket for a long time. It's like yo, bro, just sound like he imitating Tupac. It's like yo, nobody. It's like he had to do the love songs because that was the thing that separated him from Pac enough to where
Yeah,
it didn't really like hurt him too bad. But like
yeah,
yo, you couldn't just be out here blatantly copying somebody. But over
but
time, it was like, oh, this is selling. Yeah, do
yeah,
that. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Oh, T-Pain is blowing up with the auto tune. We're all gonna do the auto tune thing, and we're gonna copy that and run with it. Yo, the Future's killing it with this style that he got going. Yeah, we're all going to start doing what Future's doing. The Migos flow is what's hot right now. We all gonna do the Migos flow, and then so on and so forth. And it
Yeah.
got to the point where it was like, as long as it sold, we didn't really care. Like as long like even with certain antics, like
Mm.
people, it's like certain stuff dudes be doing now. Like you couldn't get away with that without being questioned about that now. But it's like, yo, as long as homie's still selling records, we don't care what he do behind the scenes.
When do you
That's how
think it
what Diddy
stopped?
was getting. No, it's still going.
No, no,
But
no. But like for instance, right with the '90s, everybody was different. 2000s, people were still different. There came a point to where everything kind of got repetitive. Because don't get me wrong, although the context was repetitive in the 2000s, early 2000s, production, you still heard the difference between producers
yeah,
and who's who. You know what I'm
like a
saying?
Pharrell, like the Neptunes,
Timbaland,
Timberland, Scott Storch,
Missy, Scott
like
Storch. You know what I'm
all
saying?
damn the hit
Brian
makers,
Leslie.
Ryan Leslie, like everybody had like, even if people had similar flows or whatnot, like they still go
Mhm.
out and get a producer like a Kanye West or a Just Blaze, or
Exactly.
they're like they'll get like, and then all the producers had their own styles.
Yeah.
Now it's like everybody's trying to be Metro Boomin.
Yeah.
Everybody trying to be Monty Booker, or they trying to be Mustard, or they like whoever is hot right now. You're gonna have like 10 or 15 young producers come behind them and just try to replicate their style and then try to sell it for a cheaper price.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I really think it started when the recession hit, the one that during the Bush administration, because around that time, a lot of record labels were consolidating. The money was a little tighter, and it was like, we're not gonna put money behind this because it's not like we're not gonna get an immediate return on investment. We need something that's gonna work. So when T-Pain is blowing up around the same time, it's like it's got to be the auto tune. Everybody start using auto tune. Then his style, then it gets oversaturated, and it's like, all right, we're looking for the new thing. All right, Wayne is out here killing it right now. Try to sound like Wayne, or Drake doing his thing. Everybody try to sound like Drake, and so on and so forth. It went from, all right, oh yeah, hip hop is hot right now. All these albums, like the worst you could do is go gold. Like it was like to the point where like even rappers that we don't even remember now, we're still going gold off of their stuff. Like doing 400,000 was a disappointment back then. Now you would be lucky to even get half that now. Like, so it's that was like, oh, it's just hot. Like, yo, we gonna sell records. Like, it don't matter. Now it's like we can't put. It's kind of like the same in the movie industry right now, where
Yeah.
they don't really want to invest in original projects. That's why we get so
Yeah.
many sequels and
Reruns.
reboots, and like, yeah, like they're remaking everything. Like that's why they're doing that, because it's like, oh, that's gonna guarantee to get everybody into the theaters. Like this
Yeah.
new thing nobody's ever heard of. Like people might question it. They might just wait till it's in streaming. Like, yeah, we might not
Wait.
do that.
Pause. So let's hold what you just said to hip hop as a whole. Do you feel like we should do a better job at embracing diversity? Because just like how you said, brand new ideas and concepts might not be as receptive as, just repetitive thing or the same thing as last time.
I feel like we do. Because
Mm.
now we're starting to see it. Like one of the points I was making, like when people were trying to argue with me back and forth, like,
Mm.
yo, the legacy acts at this point. Because like, if you're not 15 years plus,
Mhm.
like, because they try to point out like, yo, Nicki got a historic sold out tour. Drake, Kendrick, all these other people. And I'm like, yo, they
Right.
15 years plus. Most of the artists you talking about started pre-streaming.
Facts.
But meanwhile, a lot of these people from this new generation, like every time I turn around, it's a tour being canceled because they can't sell enough tickets.
Mm.
It's like, oh, such like how long it took us to get a number one album back in just last year for the 50th anniversary of hip hop. It took almost to this point last year for
Mm-hmm.
them to get a number one record. Some of the albums that was coming out beforehand, it was like, oh, that's definitely gonna get number one. His number
Mm-hmm.
two, his number three, and like chart numbers don't matter, but like
Mm-hmm.
we talk as far as mainstream hip hop, yeah, like it really is an indicator of like how people see like the general consumer, like how they see hip hop, and that's kind of where a lot of these things was at the time when people would criticize what was going on at the time, like the violence, the over sexuality in the music, the dumbing down of lyrics and content for just like this quick market stuff. The main thing people would say was like it's selling, so it must be working. This must be what the kids want. Now it's not selling, so I don't know what to tell you now at this point. Like, so I feel like people, and I see a lot of the conversation. Like a lot of people are like tired of the cookie cutter stuff. Like, I'm at this forever war with Spotify because of the BS that they've been on lately. But I mean, even before I decided to take my music off of it, and they made the policy changes they did, it was already kind of like everybody sounding the same. Now it's even worse because now you have to be on a playlist that fits a certain vibe. So it's like 100 songs, and all of them pretty much have to sound the same. Because if you sound too
That part.
different, you don't fit the vibe of this playlist. So we're not
Right.
gonna put you on here. So now like everybody's starting to sound the same, almost like out of necessity.
Right.
So it's
Right.
yeah, I think people are starting to that's why the most streamed music is the music from the past. That's why the stuff that's coming out now is
Yeah.
only getting a fraction of the people's attention unless you're one of those acts that's been here for 15 years plus. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like we need people to stand out. We need new styles. We need more than one artist that has their has a grip on the people, and then we don't need like 15 other people copying their style. We need like just think about how diverse the 2000s were. Like on
Yeah.
any given day, you could hear Luda on the radio, Nelly on the radio, Jay-Z, Nas,
Geographically, everybody ate.
everybody. You had people from the West you had the West, you had
Midwest.
the Midwest, you had the South, you had New York, and it was continuously like so many different styles and flavors like we could hear on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Now it's the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again, and I think at some
Yeah.
point like we either have to find our identity again, or we're just going to we're gonna die out.
That's valid. That's valid. That's valid. Mm. Mm-hmm. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to think about.
Like it's crazy how that one like just innocuous comment just sparked all of this thought in my head. Like my wife tells me now, like my brain just goes and goes when I have an idea, and I just fire off. Like I see it in my son already.
Yeah. Already
Yeah.
equipped. Yes, sir. Let me ask you one question, man.
Okay.
So with like rap today, right? How do you feel like are ways to where we can bridge the gap for the older generation and the younger generation to come together? What are ways you feel like we could, just impose on and put it into action and really see if we can get this thing moving?
I think we need to hear out both sides equally. I don't
Hmm.
think we should dismiss the old school trying to say that they're out of touch, and it's like whatever, like what you got. And I also don't think that the old school or like the older generation should be so dismissive of the new generation just because they're different, right?
Hmm.
Like I feel like there's a balance. Like I could have the argument of, hey, like as soon as somebody hit me with the back in my day, we was doing it like this. I don't want to hit, but but if you say, you know what, I see what you're doing, but this is a way that you could probably improve it, and like because you should be able to listen to somebody that has been there before,
Right.
and it's like, yo, I see the things that you're going through, or I see the things that could be ahead of you. Let me like, like, hey, let me tell you what, and let me tell you what I went through, so you don't have to go through that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Like, you can
Hmm.
follow, you can, like, avoid the mistakes that I made, kind of thing.
Right.
And then at the
Right.
same time, it's like, yo, kids are doing something different. It don't necessarily have to be your cup of tea, but
Mm.
it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad,
That's
right?
real.
So
That's
I feel
valid.
like that's what it is. We don't have to get on songs with each other. We don't have to
Mm.
completely agree with one side or like the other. It just needs to be, everybody needs to open their ears and be willing to hear each other out. And then if it
Mm.
applies, then, like, you take that and you gel, try to gel with it. But if it don't, if you hear it and you're like, yeah, cool, but I'm gonna just do my own thing, you can
Right.
respectfully decline. I don't think it necessarily has to be so combative, you know.
Mm. That's valid. I like that. I like that. So it's like us to a certain extent, agree to disagree, but still have the respect of seeing like a fellow man, a fellow woman like
Right.
succeeding. To where it's like we can find a common ground and say, okay, this is the point. Going back to advancement, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? As a whole, just like how we see with other cultures and stuff, they have all the problems and all the stuff going on, but when it comes to like making sure things are handled, they gonna make sure things are handled.
Right.
And I hate how they belittle us into thinking that we can't do that or we can never do that when we can. It's just a matter of not realizing what Marianne Williamson say, not realizing that we're inadequate, but that realizing that we're powerful beyond our measure. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I
Yeah.
think once we can accept the fact of like, hey, and I think another thing too, ego.
Yeah.
Ego, man. Like not everybody can be the front line. Not everybody can be the front man, you know. We gotta have everybody play their roles because, even now, like look at artists like us, bro. Imagine if we still only rapped. Like if we
Mm-hmm.
only depended on music throughout our whole journey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think we would be here even on this
Oh,
podcast platform right now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like proof in the pudding. So I think it goes back to this, right? It goes back to where you are willing and humble enough to pull up on my platform with RDU Live, right? And then same for 1430. You know what I mean? Like we got to see that we're eye level. We can't say, oh, well, this person doesn't have views, followers, or none of that. Like grow with the people around you because you never know who's going to end up where. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the problem is the gap is you have too many people who wants to work with people who's already like established in there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of just like isolating themselves until they get to that point, and that's where the disconnect comes in. I feel like the connection comes in when you build with the people around you, and the more we do that, it's
Yeah.
litty.
Yeah, like it's all about like coming together. Like, I even thinking about, and we can kind of wrap up in a little bit, but just
Okay.
kind of going back to like thinking about that lineup, right? With Method Man and all those other artists on the Summer Jam stage.
Hmm.
And honestly, if we were more together, between the generations, it shouldn't look that far off to have acts from that, from the 90s generation and the current generation together. Like, it really should not be that far-fetched as it is. But like, but the way things are right now, it's looked at as like just this anomaly.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I hope we get to a point, because we could all learn something from each other at the end
Hmm.
of the day. Like, there's so
Hmm.
many times you hear artists, like so many artists end up falling in the same pitfalls, right?
Yeah.
Like, signing shady contracts. Like, there's so
Yeah.
many examples of shady industry practices and artists being taken advantage of. And it's like, why does this cycle continue? And it's because
Yeah.
we're not like taking heed the warnings of the people from before us. We
Yeah.
just and like now we're just you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it at the end of the day.
That's part that hurts, but at the same time, you can repeat greatness as well. So it's really how you
Facts.
look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. But you
Yeah,
repeat greatness by learning what came from before you. It's like great.
exactly.
Like nobody. You have to go back to the beginning of time to figure out somebody that just did like figured it all out on their own. Like they had to learn it from somewhere.
That's a fact. Well, I
But yeah, man.
appreciate this, man. This
Yeah,
was a
man. I
great,
appreciate you
great
coming on the
discussion.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
after you just had like the show at Surf City with
Oh,
wu-tang.
man, that was a dope experience, bro. That was fun. I haven't been to the beach in a while. I was a little late. I'm not even gonna lie, but like, the just everything was smooth. As far as the adjustments that had to be made within it too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a good time. It was a nice little quick vacay, man, like a little in and out trip. And I got to perform some like new songs or songs that I've been releasing on my YouTube, but still never
Oh,
like
dope.
perform live. So that was a nice way to kind of see like how people will react. And I'm having like you know middle-aged white moms dancing with their daughters to the frugal
Oh, that's lit.
AF. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy. So it was confirmation for me. Like, okay, you're on the right path. Like, just keep going. But you know what I mean. You know how it
Oh,
is
most
for it,
def.
man.
Cause those
So
new tracks, the ones on you've been releasing on YouTube, has been fire, man.
thank you, bro. I'm trying to get back in that bag of just like not overthinking things, but also like learning that I want to be able to market myself in a way as well. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
trying to find that balance to where it's like I'm not overcompensating by spending so much to try to emulate this look when I could probably get
Mm-hmm.
the same look. It's just a matter of like doing my research on breaking it down in increments of the process to where it's like, okay, so it's not really the equipment, it's the editing. So if I could get either someone who could edit real good or just find a program to where it's like easy to use and I could learn, boom. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So just really just how you've been doing with the streaming and stuff and like showing us and also you as well learning from other people, just showing us like, hey, this is how you really profit off of your, you know what I'm saying, your music and stuff and what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing with like the band lab and then you having your website. I don't even have a website. You know what I'm saying? You would have thought I had that website, but I don't even have a website. So
Well,
it's
I
just
just
one of
got
those
mine
things.
back like earlier this year, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a
But you
process.
still had it though.
Yeah.
You still had it. So yeah, man, it's one of those things to where just recently I've kind of had a confirmation to where I'm so glad that we didn't make it when we were younger because this is the perfect time for us, bro.
Yeah.
And the amount of work we've been putting in and just the communities we built from just our time and our energy and our effort and then that we can come together and bridge them together and bring them together, you can't beat that. So I just feel like it's just divine timing for us, man. And just now it's time for us to get it started. So
Yo,
yeah.
most def. Like, yeah, I
Hmm.
would think like if I put that contract in front of me 10 years ago, I don't know where I'd be at, but I know I'd be worse off by now.
Bruh.
So yeah, cause
Mm.
yeah, I'm like I feel way more established in my like I
Yeah.
feel internally I feel a lot more prepared for what's to come.
Come on.
So like, all right, I'm ready for it.
Come
I
on.
had to get ready, get right here. Now I think I
Yeah.
could get, I could take on the world, so to speak.
Yes, sir. One step at a time, man.
Yo, facts.
Literally. One day at a time. My fault. One day at a time. Let me put it like that. One day at a time.
For sure, man. But yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
link up. We're gonna link up again pretty soon. I appreciate you
Oh, for sure.
joining me, man. Cause yeah, this was a
Yes, sir.
great discussion. We went to a lot of
As
different
always.
places with it, but it all like was necessary. We're always
It
necessary.
correlates. That's the best
Yeah,
part. We'll
yeah.
venture off, but it correlates. It correlates.
But yo,
Yeah.
hey yo, and shout out to everybody that was in the chat. Shout out to Live
Yes.
from Vietnam. Shout out to
Thank
Rusty.
y'all.
Shout out to St. Pat.
Come
Shout
on.
out to Martez.
Yeah.
For joining in. And yeah, it
Thank
was a
y'all.
great discussion. A great
Yeah.
discussion for hip hop, and hopefully we can bridge the gap soon. But
Oh,
yo,
we will. We just gotta keep doing what we do. That's all.
oh, Facts, man. But yo,
That's
it's been
it.
your boy G Dangerous. It's the homie Kamus Leonardo. This has been
Yes, sir.
1430 Live. And until next week, much love.